First up is going to be deciding what you actually want to print and finding that file. So I like to use a program called Thingiverse because it's free and I'm broke. So on Thingiverse you can kind of just type in anything, and usually there's a lot of options to find. So I mean, I think for this example I'm going to just type in Marvel props and see what comes up, and we're going to use one of those. I mean, you can find 3D print files pretty much anywhere. There's huge sites with large catalogs of 3D printing files that you can use. A lot of them you're going to have to pay for. That's why I like Thingiverse, because people upload it for free and then you can kind of use them. It's like a Wikipedia for 3D printing things, and there's a lot of cosplay stuff, so that's kind of why I use it. So once you find something on Thingiverse that you want to print, you're going to just hit download all files, and then it'll install them all to your computer. I've already installed them to mine. Once you have downloaded the files from Thingiverse and you have Cura or a 3D printing software installed on your computer, you're going to want to make sure that your micro SD card is plugged into your computer, and then you're going to want to open up the files. So this is going to be the bottom, the very bottom of Thor's handle, and since it's a flat bottom and there's really no overhang and it actually gets narrower towards the top, we're not going to have to use any supports. We're going to just be able to print it directly straight up. So this is going to take 4 hours and 8 minutes. Sometimes it'll go a little quicker, so this will probably take 3.5 hours to 4 hours, as long as nothing goes wrong. So then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to save it to your removable drive, and since it's good to go, you're going to want to do this with all the parts, and then you're going to want to pop out the SD card. Alright, so this is my 3D printer. The spool with the PLA filament is running into the nozzle here. You have this fancy control panel that's digital, and you're just going to take your SD card, and don't do that. You're going to want to put it in the other way. You're going to have all your ST files, the stuff we just put in. So there's like the handle, the middle part, everything, and then this is a leveling code. You're going to want to run this, and what it's going to do is it's going to auto level your printer, and you're going to want to take a piece of paper, and when it goes down at each touch point, you're going to slide it in there and make sure there's just a little bit of friction, but not a ton. And this basically prevents it from being too close to the build plate or too high up, because we're working with millimeters and fraction of millimeters, so you're going to want to make sure it's at the right height. So now we kind of just wait and see and hope I did enough to make sure it doesn't fail, because it's about a 30-hour print and I have to print 2 of them, and then plus the 3 handle parts. So there's plenty of time for this to go wrong, but we're gonna just hope. Alright, so a little bit of a time skip between the last video and now. It's been 4 or 5 days and all the pieces are printed. It was like 5 pieces and then these connector pins. The actual hammer like head is 2 halves and it took like 70 hours total. And then each of these handle pieces, there's 3 of them. I already glued these 2 together. Took about 5 hours each. I glued the 2 halves with Gorilla Glue already, and then the part of the handle that actually connects into the hammer. And right now we're going to use Bondo to fill in these seam lines between where the 2 halves of the hammer were printed, because my printer is not big enough to print the whole thing. Also, it's better to print in small pieces because then if it fails, you just have to reprint the small thing. But like, if you get, say, 65 hours into printing this whole thing and then it fails, you kind of have to throw out the whole thing. So the idea with the Bondo is we're going to put it over these seam lines to make it look like the actual prop and something Thor would use. So we're going to do that, and then it's on to priming it, sanding it, and then painting and finishing it, and then we're done. So this is what it looks like with the Bondo on. It doesn't look pretty, but it's all going to get sanded and covered up anyways. It's just so that those lines connecting the two are going to be gone. Probably going to have to do one more coat of this after it dries in like an hour or two. But I'm not going to show that. I'm going to just skip to the next step of priming. This is what it looks like after one coat of primer and then sanding that primer off. I have 2 more coats, and then it's on to painting it black and then metallic. This is completely primed. I did 3 coats and more Bondo to try and smooth it out more. The next step is we're going to be taping off the handle so that when I spray the black gloss paint on the hammerhead, it doesn't get on the handle, because I'm going to be painting the handle freehand because there's a lot of little details. All these need to be painted silver, and then the middle parts need to be painted brown. You want to put a black gloss coat whenever you're painting stuff metallic, because if you just paint it metallic, it's going to look cheap, and you want that black coat underneath to make the metal look more realistic. This is what the hammer looks like after it was hit with the black gloss paint. The next step is going to be hitting it with this metallic Rust-Oleum finish, and then all I have to do is paint the handle and then do a black acrylic wash on this to make it look like metal, because normal metal isn't perfectly shiny. There's black like carbon marks or just imperfections in it. So you put the black wash on it afterwards to make it look like real metal and not like perfectly brand new. So I'm probably only going to do 1 coat of metallic on this. I did 2 black gloss coats to just build it up. And then it's on to pretty much finishing this prop. Alright, so this is it immediately after hitting it, and you can already tell like the black is coming in a little bit. You very lightly want to coat it. And you can almost see that those splotches of black, and that's done to make it look like brushed metal. And I mean, it's just a huge difference. It's going to look even better once we weather it with the black after. But I mean, I love painting because like this is the part where like the magic happens. It gets closer to looking like the actual prop. Now what I'm doing is going in and I'm painting what on the actual prop is a leather wrap around the handle. I'm painting this brown, and it looks rough right now, but that's because I'm going to put silver on these gray bits, so it doesn't really matter if it bleeds over too much. I'll probably have to do 2 coats of this, and then I'll do the silver afterwards. The hammer is pretty much done being painted. And I did all the brown and the detailing. The last step is to go in with a little bit of black paint, and it's called dry brushing. It's used to weather props, and what you do is you don't put any water on your brush, and you only get a little bit on, and you brush it and then quickly wipe it off, and it's gonna leave black paint in the grooves where metal or anything would naturally be worn down, and it just makes the prop look more realistic, and hopefully it's gonna clean up some of my very quick rushed paint job on the handle. This is what dry brushing is. All you're gonna do is you're gonna put it on places where dirt would naturally build up, so like in seams, and then you're gonna quickly wipe it off. It's not really another step of painting, but it just adds some detail to it and makes it look more worn. So I'm gonna do this for the whole thing, and then I'll show you that. So here is the final product. Pretty happy with it. It was very rushed though, so there's some paint stuff, and it actually fell over while it was drying recently. So there is a dent in the top, which I would like to fix, but I probably can't without like sanding it down and having to repaint it, which I don't have time to do. But besides that, it's pretty close to the real thing. I'm gonna try and fix up some of the handle and stuff because my hands have painted on it, and I got some on there. But this is pretty much the finished thing.